The following program is a production of Pioneer Public Television.
Hello and welcome to Compass. This week in Pioneer's studio in Granite Falls, we look for the surprising silver lining in what many see as a confusing world of rural retail. There's a lot of stories going out about national chains and local stores that report their struggles because of online sales and other changes, but there are also stories of opportunity. With us to take a look at these stories of opportunity, we have Jill Amundsen, a planner with the West Central Initiative in Fergus Falls, and Joe Ferrero of You Petcha, a pet store in Morris. He's a retailer in that community who can tell us firsthand about life as a small-town retailer. Jill, Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, there are so many wonderful things we could talk about in this story because we hear so many stories about retail going in one direction. But I'd like to start with you, Jill, because you serve in a 9-county area, and you're seeing some very different stories about retail that are much more hopeful than what we might think.
Absolutely. There's a narrative going on that the big box closure is the death of retail, that online is completely taking over the retail market, which is not true at all. Actually, the stats are something like 9.8% of sales, retail sales, happen online, and almost the entire other 90%, people want to be shopping on their hometown streets or somewhere locally nearby. And as Joe can tell you, we really have this amazing region full of main streets that are booming right now. We've got classy boutiques, we've got crafters making things, we've got just these really niche opportunities to reach out to the people in their town, the people in their county, and the 9-county region. I think all of us in a rural community are used to driving that 30 to 60 minutes for a destination. And people love to do that locally where they feel like they're still in their home community.
Sure. So changes within the opportunity, and Joe, that's where you come in. Tell us about your store.
Yeah, you know, we've noticed that there was a need in our area for people to be able to get specialized, pet things, pet supplies. People were able to go online, and order their bulk dog foods, but when they had real questions about products that they needed, they weren't able to get through to those people. But when they come into a store like mine, they can ask questions, they can talk to people who have used the product before, interact with other customers. It's just something you're not getting when you're just sitting online by yourself at a computer. And so that's kind of what we've seen. Like, our customers have said, we're so happy that you're here because you are able to provide us with that educational piece that we're just not able to get somewhere else.
So in other words, if they may be able to order something online, but they really want to have a conversation about what's best for their pets, that's where you come in.
Yeah, and so things like dog and cat food, people will try different things. But when people come in and ask me about the proper flea and tick collars for a dog, or about the different kind of lighting for their gecko at home, that's the kind of stuff that they're sitting there doing research online, but they're not really sure is what they're reading correct. But when they come in the store, they'll see that we have those animals. This is the kind of lighting we're using, or the kind of treats that we use with our dogs and cats. And so they're getting an answer from real people at that moment that are using it.
And to get a sense of the timeline, Joe, you opened your store in downtown Morris in April of 2018, right?
Yes, we just celebrated a year.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good for you. So, Jill, as you traveled around the region that you work in, those 9 counties of West Central Minnesota, are you finding other stories like Joe's, where you find that people are identifying a niche, as you'd say, that they probably hadn't thought of before, and then they've got that entrepreneurial spirit and they're in there?
Exactly, and what I really like about that is our small town retailers are taking advantage of that multi-channel opportunity that big box stores have done already. They have the online presence, they have the in-store presence. Now our boutiques can do that as well via something as simple as a Facebook page. So at 8 o'clock at night, I can be browsing their inventory via Facebook. I can message them right away. And let them know what I'd like to order, and we can arrange a payment method or shipping method. And so that can happen anywhere. And it's nice that you can then drive to the location, as Joe was saying, talk directly with a human being, have an interaction, and really have that neighborhood community service. that's really important to some of those more tangible products.
Before we turn the cameras on, there was a story that I've got to touch on, because Joe, this is a great one. When Jill talks about service to community, the hamster emergency.
The hamster
You got to tell us
emergency.
about the hamster
Yeah,
emergency.
so before we opened in April, I was just doing our website, but Facebook and Instagram for our store, just to kind of see if people in our area really wanted a pet store. And so we had it out there, and people were ordering stuff off the website locally, and I was delivering it. And then, but I was kind of, making it known that I was delivering up till 8 o'clock at night. Well, we had a customer go online and order a hamster and all of the equipment to take care of a hamster at like 8:45 at night one night. So I emailed the customer, okay, I'll have it delivered to you in the morning. And she's like, no, I'll pay you extra if you will come and bring me that hamster tonight. It's a hamster emergency. I needed a hamster. And I still don't know the exact emergency. I just know that she was super grateful that I drove up to her apartment building with the hamster. She was happy with the hamster and all the equipment. And she was there, I guess, with her roommate, and they were just thrilled that I answered their prayer to a hamster emergency at 9 o'clock at night.
Well, and I know that one of the concerns, I think, for small town retailers as compared to big box stores, for example, hours of operation, right? Because, if you're running a traditional small town store, what are your hours of operation? It sounds like for you, and I expect this is true for other retailers, you've figured out that responsiveness through social media is probably a key part of what you need to do to have that relationship.
Yeah, and the social media piece of it doesn't just come from us putting stuff out there, but it's stuff coming back from people in the community. So we'll get those messages through Instagram or through Facebook saying, oh, I see you have this product, or do you have this? And if so, when are you open? And so I can quickly reply to someone and say, yeah, our hours are 2:30 to 6 or whatever. And people say, okay, great, now you're on my list of things to do when I go out. So that channel has not just become the ability to just get the word out. People can ask those questions back of us and be able to interact with the store before they even get there. And they're not going to show up to a store that's closed, or you know what I mean. They're going to show up with a live, knowledgeable person ready to help them.
And I'm seeing that as a response to some of the big box closures as well. And I noticed that Morris had a store closing, and right away you were able to say, if you were purchasing pet products from this store, please let me know what it is you need so that I can carry it for you.
That's my biggest thing, was filling in for the things that people needed in the community. So I made sure before we even opened that I went to all of our stores in Morris and I saw what pet products they offered, what dog foods, etc. And I made sure I didn't want to take their customers away from them, because it's important to me that we all stay open, we all have that business. So I wanted to see what are the things they weren't offering, and I made sure those are the things that we were going to offer. So people come in and say, oh, I noticed you don't have XYZ brand. Oh, well, that's because the hardware store on the street has that, we want to make sure that you still go there and get your stuff there. You know what I mean? So I don't want to take customers away from other small businesses. I want us to expand that and share that, because now they come to my store, they'll get the treats, etc. Then they'll go down the street and get that dog food, and they can shop there too and see those people. So it's kind of that sense of community that we're all supporting each other.
And in many cases, I think for you or for other entrepreneurs, Joe, it's a matter also of in many cases, deciding to start small, because there's the old phrase, don't give up your day job, right?
That's very true, yeah. For me, I didn't give up my day job. I'm an elementary school principal, and this was always something that I wanted. And, through that, talking to people in town, oh, I wish we had a pet store. And talking to some of the kids who said, oh, my mom says I can't have that because we can't go get it, and it takes an hour to get there. And, well, what if we had it in town? And so went for it and started small. And I mean, within the past year, went from a really small location, and we just expanded to a bigger location because we just needed the space for inventory, which was great.
So Jill, as you work again around the region, to put this in context for us, are you finding a lot of people who do make similar decisions that they're going to start small? And if so, what are the key things that people need to think about as they're looking at a retail niche that they might want to fill?
Yes, we're seeing that all across the region, that smaller retailers are opening, and they're doing a really good job, as Joe said, of cooperating with each other. So finding out who else could offer a similar product or serve a similar customer base, so that you're able to stay small, stay manageable to do whatever it is that you need to do, as well as build up your community and make sure that we're sharing the wealth. Because if we can make a destination, then everyone really benefits across the entire community. It builds the entire economy up.
Yeah, as well as the relationship piece, which I know from talking before we went on the air, that for both of you is really, really important, because you're going to rely on the repeat customers. You're going to rely on the social media relationship, and now you're going to have to, you'll be in that relationship where you'll be seeing that customer all the time, right?
Yeah, and some of the things that we've seen with people coming in and needing something last minute, and they say, well, I've always purchased it online at blah, blah, blah.com. And I ran out of it last night. I didn't know it was out of fish food. I'm so happy you're here and I can get my fish food. And they come back to us all the time now because they know we're always going to have the product, we're always going to be available. And they were so happy we were there the first time. They want to make sure we're always going to be there, so they're going to support us because of that.
Yeah. And then over time, I suppose you've also come to realize that, as your business expands, then you have to learn other skills in addition to your interest in pets, which is managing employees, managing payroll, managing hours. How did you tackle those challenges?
There's a lot of great community organizations, as you know, that I've reached out to, and to get support. There's a lot of free local workshops and even ones that are very low fee to even take part in. And so for me, almost everything I've done, all of that learning has come from these different organizations in our area that want small businesses to thrive and succeed. So the education and the willingness to be able to help you is out there, especially I found here in our small rural area that there are people that want to help you and make your business succeed and get you through all of the good and bad times.
And share some of their experiences, both positive and negative, and you can learn from their mistakes and their successes.
And getting that advice from somebody who's done it for a long time or knows what they're doing, that has been, because I walked in and go, oh, I'm going to have animals ever, it's going to be amazing. And then people are like, well, let's start small, let's really consider this, and let's, and that was an eye-opener for me. And of course, then I do the way they told me to, and I'm like, well, they were right. How did I not realize that this is how you should do it? Yeah.
Jill, is there a way to sort of quantify or any sort of nuggets you could use to describe this changes in rural retail? I mean, is it something you're seeing in towns of 5,000 or 2,000, or are there sort of identifiable trends that would help people understand where this is really going on, or is it sort of across the board?
I think it's all across the board. One thing I would mention is people talk about this rural rebound, and there's also a similar thing happening in the urban areas. This focus back to neighborhood and really feeling that sense of belonging to your community, whether that be a particular street or a particular town, or in our case, West Central Minnesota. We all feel like neighbors to each other, and that's really some of this retail going on. There was a headline, I think a year or two ago, that said mom and pop stores are threatening the internet. And it's really quite true that we as consumers want to be making sure we're making a purchase that makes a difference. And if they're literally on our street supporting our Girl Scouts and doing those other community things, that fuels us in a way that's not just purchasing a product.
So for people who've lived around small towns a long time and seen the change in retail, I expect a major challenge for them to sort of get their heads wrapped around this idea is that it's going to be a different retail than what they knew 30 years ago. It may still be vibrant, but it's going to be very different.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that, and Joe can talk about, he has international customers as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's still some things that we purchase, things we don't necessarily maybe think so much about, that we don't mind ordering from somewhere else. But there is also that need for connection and that need for a friendly face.
Yeah, and having the for me and in my business has been the education of how to use the product and what product really is worth it. Compared to going online and saying, well, I don't know if, whenever I shop online, I shop for something cheap. And so people can get their cheap things online, they know that. But when they want to invest in something, they'll go to someone like me because they know I'll give them the customer support they need instantly. They're not waiting, oh, I got this product, I don't like it, and I got to ship it back and talk to someone, and maybe they won't take it, blah, blah, blah. With me, they know, they come in, they try, a waterfall for their frog tank. They know if they get home, they're like, oh, this isn't going to work for me. They can just come back in and talk to me about it, and we can, fix it. So it's having that relationship that there's the trust there compared to a .com where you don't really find that trust all the time. And I think we've all had that where we've ordered something in the wrong size or et cetera. And what do you do now? It's sometimes just like, I'm just going to keep it. I'm not going to deal with sending it back. But now you have the ability to come in and talk to someone, a live person, and get good advice, try something out, and build that relationship with them.
And yet at the same time, for the specialty needs in Morris, you're able, as you said, to have an international customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with our web presence, we've had people ordering things that they've said, gosh, I tried on this website and I couldn't find enough that I need. Do you have 6 of these? Oh yeah, we do. Awesome. And they order it on our website and we're shipping out across seas. So here I am walking into the Morris post office and I'm like, can you send this to like Zimbabwe for me? And they're like, okay. Yeah, well, they needed it. They needed those things for their guinea pigs, so I shipped them out.
So Joe and I met at an event arranged by the Stevens Community Economic Improvement Commission, and I learned about his store and I started following him on Instagram. And then fast forward a couple of weeks when my daughter's class needed something for the classroom, and I thought, I know I saw on his Instagram this ladybug raising kit. And I have to tell you, the preschool teacher that received that kit was so excited to be able to offer an entomology lesson to those preschoolers in Ashby via the Morris U Pet Chef.
Yeah, I mean, trying to combine both of my loves in that I do a lot with schools. So we've worked, we have the Hancock schools now, they have little furries in their classroom they've raised from babies, little dagoos. So they're kind of new to the pet industry. And so we set them up with 3 tanks and all, and so now the kids have raised these all this school year. We do tadpoles for classrooms, we do ladybugs, we do the butterflies. Anything we can do to inspire learning and also proper animal husbandry, kids taking care of animals in the proper way. So we're trying to make it so it's more than just a pet store, it's also a pet education place too. So it's, being able to get in and show kids how to properly take care of an animal is important, because as they get older, they'll be our customers taking care of their animals.
Well, I know you also have made a decision, Joe, to focus on certain animals and the supplies, and not focus on other animals, because those are the animals that may be available through the local shelter.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah. So we do live animal, live fish, reptile, and small furry things, but we don't do cat or dog, because we encourage people to go adopt through our local Humane Society. So we work with the Stevens Community Humane Society to say, this is their inventory. We have them linked right on our website, so they can look at what they have. So when something comes in and says, "You don't have puppies?" No, but there's a couple of great dogs just down the road at Stevens Community. So trying to get people to say, "Hey, maybe adoption is the way to go for those kinds of things."
Yeah. So for both of you going through this journey of rural retail, and you run across people on the street who may think that, that the stories they've heard are true and that there isn't much hope. What are the messages that you often have to sort of counteract about the world of retail?
We had a really harsh web presence of folks that were really unhappy about some of the big box closures that happened seemingly all at once. That there was this feeling that the town had done something to be unsupportive of that particular genre, if you will. And what we come back with all the time is that business model is failing. The town is not failing. So big box is always dominated with a large selection and having that multi-channel approach. Well, the internet, Amazon and its competitors have taken away all of those advantages that the big box had in our communities. Whereas now the smaller retailers have that opportunity to show great customer service, to be able to offer that personal connection, the touch, the feel, the education, as it were, that it's really not a town failing, but as you said, an opportunity to build up the entrepreneurs in your community and get what you need here in town.
Because so in other words, I could imagine here that if the big box stores and the online experience was largely price-based, it sounds like what you're talking about here is a lot more relationship-based for the customer. Is that fair to say?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even for myself, I have no problem going online to Amazon and ordering my paper towels for them because I'm getting so cheap. But when I'm talking about getting, an upgrade to my phone or adding things on, I'm going to my electronics store in town. If I'm looking at paint colors and et cetera, I'm going to go to the local hardware store and talk to them. I'm not ordering them. There are things for the store that I needed that, they were available online, but I was able to go down to my hardware store, talk to someone, say, I need it to be this exact size, and they were able to measure it. It's not something you can just do online. So I get why people would go online, and I do it myself for those little basics. But for the real products I need in my life, I don't trust that. I need a local store, and I'm happy. In Morris, where I am, there's a lot of small stores and a lot of small boutiques that we can go to and get all the products that we need.
And it sounds like you're both hearing that from customers or people you deal with, that they're finding the value in the relationship that perhaps they didn't 5 years ago. True, Jill?
Absolutely true. And there's a new way to engage with your customer. So there's that the internet isn't necessarily bad. You still have then social media and other ways where you can connect to people at the time they need in the place they are, but still offering that small town feel like this, as you said, Joe, this is the time I'm open, or this is the time I can meet you, this is the time I can deliver. Oh, you need a specialty product, let me see if I can order that for you. It's those, being open to the customer in a way that is very genuine and authentic that you really get in the rural communities. We've got that in spades.
Well, and I know you both talked a little bit about some of the things that you have to do, but now that you've both been working in this for a while, and I know you've been involved in entrepreneurship, Jill, and Joe, you've been doing this for more than a year. Let's talk about some real nuts and bolts advice, because lots of people have their dream of a store, whether it's a pet store or something else. So right now, today, small towns, western Minnesota. Let's talk about advice for people who may want to go down this road. And Jill, I'll start with you.
I think the biggest piece of advice I'd give is make sure that you have a plan mapped out and that it's a flexible one. So developing what your year, you think what a year would look like and what you'd like 5 years to look like, and the small business development centers across the region can be very helpful with that and give you a one-on-one consultant to help you with any piece of that, as well as some of the great organizations that work in economic development across the region. And West Central Initiative would be happy to be a part of that journey too.
West Central Initiative, your offices are based in Fergus Falls, right?
Correct. Our main office is in Fergus Falls. We cover the 9-county area. We serve as both the Community Foundation and the Economic Development Organization for the region.
And then when you mentioned Small Business Development Centers, or SBDCs, those are regionally based. I know there's one in Marshall, so people can simply look around on the web and they can find their local SBDC, right?
Absolutely.
Joe,
And
your
that's
advice?
and I use the SBDC so much. My personal, I call her my business friend now, because we've grown this relationship, because I have no problem contacting her and setting up an appointment at any time I have a question. And it was really, like Jill said, those plans, like what do I want 5 years to look like? Because in my head, it's going to be major. I'm bigger than Petco, but that's not the reality of it. And so when we were looking around, even for a proper space, we found a smaller store and started it. It wasn't until I heard that customer saying, "We're so happy you're here. We wish you had more inventory." I said, well, now we're going to grow a little bit bigger. And so my advice to anyone out there is, if you can, give it a shot, go for it, but start small. There's nothing wrong with starting small. There's nothing wrong with saying to someone, we don't have that, but I can have that special ordered for you by Wednesday. And do that. Your suppliers will ship you your stuff so you can get it to your customer, and you might not make the money you're going to make off of that, but you just gained a customer who knows you'll do anything for them. So it's just about starting small and being there for your customer.
And in a number of small towns, when we see concerns about keeping storefronts open or storefronts occupied, when you do open a store, I expect that you've both seen this, that everybody notices that you're there, right? There's a certain community interest in, oh my gosh, what's in there now? What's in that space? Did you both find that?
Yeah.
We're seeing that all across the community. I'm talking with a smaller community now about doing a tour of empty spaces just to get people to imagine what could be in their storefronts. And another piece of advice I would give is make sure that you're taking advantage of the cooperative spirit in the rural communities. That we all want everything to happen for you. Like, we are just as excited for the new business, as you said, as a community member, as you are to be opening it. And there's just lots of hearts and hands and heads to be helpful.
I know we've just got a couple of minutes left, so I want to talk about some additional bits of advice that people may have. You talked about starting small. You've talked about looking for resources. Any mistakes that you've seen that you say what people should avoid?
You really have to learn your customers. So that's why starting slow is the key. I can't. There have been a few products that I have ordered a year ago, and I still have the entire inventory left because I have not learned my customers. So you have to be prepared for that kind of a thing to happen. Now, I'm not selling houses, so I'm not worried about that amount of inventory. So keeping it small, saying, I try to keep my shelves full all the time, right? Now that I know what my customers need. But in the beginning, I was saying, I have to have 30 of these. Well, no, start with 3 or 4 pieces of a SKU, and then work your way up. If that sells out, we have it, it'll be here by the end of the week. Let people know. So it's a little frustrating for customers in the beginning, but they get to know that you're going to be there for them and you're going to have the things you need. So it's try not to shoot beyond the target. Just make those little targets and get to them every time.
And Jill, your quick bit of advice about what to avoid?
I would add that to be very careful about your hours of operation. Like, if you're thinking you're going to be in your store from 10 to 2 and make it go, that's just not the reality. Retail really strives in evenings and weekends. That's when people do most of their retail shopping. And so that you have to be a little bit flexible on how you man your store and how you do the day-to-day operations based on who's going to be walking in and calling you.
In the minute we've got left, we'd like to let people know where they could go for more information. We've talked about SBDCs and we've talked about economic development organizations. But for both of you and the work that you do, Joe, your store again, tell us about it.
UPETCHA in Morris, Minnesota. So YOUPET-CHA.com is our website.
And for information about businesses and where they can go or learning more about rural retail?
West Central Initiative's webpage, which is wcif.org, or you can visit our livewideopen.com.
Okay, very good. Well, on that, we'll have to close out this episode. It's been great fun learning about rural retail. So Jill Amundsen of the West Central Initiative Foundation and Joe Ferrero of UPETCHA, thanks for joining us on Compass.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Compass next week.
Do you have an idea for Compass? Send your suggestions and comments to yourtv@pioneer.org. Have you missed an episode of Compass? Every episode is available to watch free online at video.pioneer.org or on the PBS Video app. And keep up to date with the latest Compass happenings on our Facebook page. Search Compass on Pioneer on Facebook and hit the like button.